Hi, my name is Ted, and I wanted to share with you my experiences of full recovery using the ANS Rewire program after 6 years of being ill with chronic fatigue syndrome. I live with my wife, Kate, in a beautiful part of England called Herefordshire, where we also work as dentists. When I was first taken ill in 2009, I was first diagnosed with post-viral fatigue syndrome, and this with time later was changed to chronic fatigue syndrome. At its very worst, well, I was unable to move. Couldn't even lift up an arm to pick something up. And this would usually be followed by 2 weeks of just being stuck in a chair, unable to do anything at all. But I consider myself lucky because, unlike a lot of people, I wasn't stuck bedbound for great long periods of time. Generally, my symptoms were associated with fatigue and general exhaustion. I felt like I was plowing through treacle if I tried to do anything physical or mental at all, along with all those other symptoms which I'm sure you're well and truly used to. This had a massive effect on both Kate and my own life. Being self-employed, I had 9 people who needed me working for them to actually get wages. And so this meant that I pushed myself probably more than I should have trying to work. But this was with restraints. I could only work part-time and I could only see a few patients in a day. This again came with a cost though. It meant that the rest of my time was spent just sat in a chair. I had no energy for anything else in life. For Kate, well, incredible stress, increased responsibility, and a massive workload to keep the business afloat. We decided very early on that this illness was not going to be her illness. And so she had to get on with her life. She had to enjoy it. But I know how hard it was for her to go out for an evening or whatever she was going to do to find some enjoyment, to just leave me sitting there in the chair. Because I'd had so many patients over the years of my own who'd had chronic fatigue syndrome, I knew when I was first diagnosed that I had to do something really quick and get help. And this was going to be outside the normal medical remit. I had regular traditional 5-element Chinese acupuncture, and this really helped me tremendously. And I'm very grateful to my acupuncturist for all he's done in keeping me going. Very early on, I signed on to the Gupta program, and I had some improvement, but I just couldn't maintain a recovery of any shape or form. I used mindfulness, meditation, pacing, all the normal things. Throughout this time, I was continuing to do research, and this was how I found Dan's book, CFS Unraveled. I tried hard to put elements of his book into what I was trying to do for myself. I worked with a functional medical practitioner, a nutritionist as such, but there was always a common theme, again and again, improvement followed by relapse. In July 2016, after what had probably been my longest period of improvement, I had a massive, massive crash, a massive relapse. CFS symptoms back at their very worst. And after all those years, for the very first time, I was broken. For the very first time, I felt I wasn't going to recover. Now, Dan had actually sent me an email a couple of months previously telling me about the launch of his new program of ANS Rewire. So I fired an email off to Dan straight away, giving a little brief history of what was going on with me. And in less than 24 hours, we got a reply full of hope and encouragement. When Kate read it, she burst into tears. It meant that much to her. And without any hesitation, I signed on to the ANS Rewire program. Within an incredibly short time, as I remember about 2 weeks, I was starting to feel and function a little bit better. I went from my worst case scenario, as I say, to actually being able to do things again. In 4 weeks, well, I was scoring myself at 8 out of 10. And after 4.5 months, I was fully recovered as far as I was concerned. But to be truthful, I didn't admit it to anyone for another month. So here I am now, 11 months into full recovery, and wow, does it feel good. I'm able to do anything I like. 2 weeks ago, I returned from a 10-day trip to Barcelona where I was involved in 10 days of intensive dance training. Last weekend, again, I was at a full weekend dance event. I can run, I can ski, I'm even learning Spanish. I can socialize, I can go out and enjoy myself again. I can live life fully, and it's great. In all this though, the best part of it, for me, is not to see the stress on my wife's face anymore. I believe that Dan has put a wonderful program together in the ANS Rewire program. My experience with it has been positive and life-changing. It's skillfully put together so that at whatever stage you're at, even if you're bedbound, you can move forward at your own pace, building on the success of each step. But I think the most important thing you need to hear from me is that full recovery is possible. There is hope. Working with Dan has been a life-changing, a transforming experience for me. And as he said it probably would be, the greatest achievement of my life. I'm very grateful to Dan for all he's done for me. Firstly, for giving me hope. Secondly, for that help, encouragement, and advice that's brought me to this new way of life. Full recovery is possible. Don't give up. There is hope. And I fully commend the ANS Rewire program to you.